Those guys,
It's very good.
you know, their plate is filled with many, many things, and music is just one of the things.
Say bye, James.
Bye, James.
Bye, buddy.
I chose not to have children and do those kind of things. My music, that's my children, you know.
Daddy's missing work.
But since I decided to do it with music, then that's what I have to fill my time with. Echo Brain is one of the projects that I've been working on for years, and now it's come to fruition. And then when it comes to a time where my main cat, James, tells me that, you know, basically he couldn't be in a band with me if I took this other project to this level. And after 15 years of working together and going buses and, you know, the stories, man, there was no way that this thing that I was doing could affect the monster of Metallica. I just don't see how it could. And so in saying things like that, I couldn't accept that kind of limited acceptance.
I also know that this relationship is not over. You know, it'll come around again at some point. You guys will make contact.
At that time, the managers suggested that we have a psychotherapist come in, a man that meets with pro ball teams, you know, big ego, big dollar guys that can't get along but have to make some kind of entity flow so everybody else and everybody can make the money. And I actually said, I think, that this is really lame and weak that we cannot get together, us. Look, the biggest heavy band of all time, and the things we've been through and decisions we've made about squillions of dollars and squillions of people. I mean, and this, we can't get over this.
The man you just heard is rock bassist extraordinaire Jason Newsted. The words he spoke were recorded shortly after he left arguably the most influential and greatest metal band of all time, Metallica, after 15 years in 2001. This comes after the band alienated some fans by battling with file-sharing service Napster, and an explosive Playboy interview where cracks in the band's foundation became craters that threatened the future of the powerhouse group. Directed by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky, Metallica, Some Kind of Monster, released in 2004, documents the most turbulent and near-apocalyptic time in the band's history. Originally envisioned as a making-of video to be included in the band's eventual 2004 release, Saint Anger, the turbulent nature of the band, the issues discussed, and the band willing to bear all led to the film being released as a 144-minute-long documentary spanning over 2 years. Despite not having a bassist, Metallica enters the studio to record the aforementioned album. Filling in on bass is longtime producer Bob Rock. The band is also seeing performance enhancement coach Phil Toll, who is addressing the deep-seated issues within the remaining 3 members. Our next clip is when the band explodes. An argument during recording between lead singer James Hetfield and drummer Lars Ulrich leads to Hetfield storming out. It is the last time he is seen for over 6 months, because he enters rehab shortly after. Of note, listen for the dynamic between the group. Ulrich and Hetfield butting heads.
Kirk.
Yes.
Kirk.
James is trying to talk to you.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, it's a bit stock.
Check it out, guys.
I don't know how you feel. I'm in a
I don't even know what to
I'm
do.
not digging it right now.
Even last night, I gotta tell you, everybody kind of looked, I hate to tell you, looked pretty burnt.
I agree.
I mean, if we don't start earlier and end earlier, I'm not going to be in a good mood for the rest of this, you know?
That was totally weird for me.
You hear that, Bob?
Why don't you try getting a more solid beat?
Regular?
Oh, well, you can call it regular.
You call it regular.
No, I'm trying not to call it regular, because I know it bugs you when I call it regular. So a little more solid then.
Maybe we should talk about next week.
Well, all next week is therapy.
Yeah.
Do we have to do that? Can we sax Phil?
I mean, we gotta find a balance to not, the Phil stuff's important, and I hope we all feel that that's an investment in the music. It's an important part of the record. Just real confusing sound.
It's just jacking the vocals all up. I mean, it's clever and everything, but I don't see what it does to it.
I think that's how you hear it, dude. I mean, that's fine. I'm just trying to do something different.
I mean, I'm used to having the drummer do the beat part. You know what I mean? Holding it together.
What I'm hearing is, choose my words carefully here. It's pretty straightforward. The guitar is a little stock, so I started trying to introduce some kind of edge to it from the drums.
Those things we throw out to each other are complete bull. It sounds too stock. It sounds too normal to me. You know what I mean? You can get your point across about doing a drum beat. I mean, it doesn't hold any water.
To you.
It doesn't.
I think which part of that is unclear to you. I think it sounds stock to my ears. I mean, you want me to write it down? I think
please
it
write
feels
it down.
stock,
I
okay?
can't hear you.
So I
No, when you say, you're telling me what to play right now. You're telling me you should play with what Kirk's doing, and I'm telling you it's stock.
Dude, fine.
You know what, guys? Why don't we just go in there and just hammer it out, all right? Instead of hammering on each other.
And we're not going to get anything
All you want to
done
do is
here
pick a
today.
fight, and
I don't want to pick a fight.
This is so silly. You're just sitting there going, I'm in a really pissy mood, and
I told you straight up that I was.
Right.
And what are you trying to do?
I'm not trying to do. You're just sitting here being a complete.
You're really helping matters. You're really good at that. I was straight up with you, and I told you. And what have you been doing? You've been picking at me all night.
Come on, guys. We got better things to do. All right?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Metallica frontman James Hetfield has entered a rehabilitation facility to undergo treatment for alcoholism and other undisclosed addictions.
Following this, the band is truly a ship without a rudder. No bassist, their co-founder and lead singer is in rehab. This leads to Erich and Hammett to continue to work with Toll, and leads to one of the most well-known and talked about scenes in this film. Lars meets with former guitarist Dave Mustaine, who was fired from Metallica in 1983, shortly before Hammett came in, and the release of their debut album, Kill 'Em All, due to his excessive drinking and anger when drinking. He then started his own landmark metal group, Megadeth. It is painful and heartbreaking to hear how, despite his own success, Mustaine has always felt less than his former bandmates.
It's difficult for me to comprehend that the only thing that you feel when you look back on the last 20 years is rooted in the Metallica thing.
Okay. I'll explain in as simple terms as I can, not to stultify you, but to just make it really easy. I had nothing, then I had everything, then I had nothing again. And it was okay going from nothing to everything to nothing, but then having someone stand on the back of my head and keep me underwater made it even harder for me. I've been erased from any involvement. The quotes that I was never meant to be in here anyways, I was just filling a spot, I was just a temporary guy, I was a loser and a drunk, I got kicked out, all the horrible things that were said immediately after my firing. I agree, I should have been fired because I was dangerous because of my disease. But watching for so many years the band continue to become successful and successful and successful, and us to never address, the way that I was let go. My God, Lars, you guys woke me up and said, you know what, you're out. And I asked you, what, no warning? I said, no second chance. And you guys said, no, go. Good God, man, I didn't get a chance. And I've lived, and yeah, maybe for some people, 18 years is a long time. For me, it seems like yesterday. I woke up and I look up and I see the guys that I love, that are my extended family. Gotta remember, all I had was my mom. All I had was you and James. We had dreams together, and I sold everything to join that dream. And then it ended. And I agree with you for doing what you did because of the nature of the disease. But don't kid yourself. I mean, there was ways to address, what was going on, with my problem. And who I am sober is totally different from who I am drunk. We never gave it a try. We never gave it a chance. Would it have worked? As much as I loved being with you guys, I'm sure it would have. And coming down to the part about the violence, if I was at a party and I saw someone hit you again, I'd break his leg again in a second. That's just my nature. I'm overprotective to the people that I love. And every time I see Phil, I feel bad for him. But I wasn't going to let him hurt you.
Who's Phil?
Sandoval from Armored Saint. Don't you remember me breaking his leg?
I don't remember it was him. I remember
the
incident. I don't know.
He pushed you down and he hurt you. I made sure he didn't hurt you again. With my band members.
I had this clear vision, which I don't know if I've ever told you, but the night where we decided to let you go, a couple of days before we let you go, and we played some show, and me and you were just sitting there, and I think we were smoking some pot and being very mellow, and I just remember I had this clear vision of just being overwhelmed with sadness and emotion about what was about to go down literally like 8 hours after that. Not saying in any way that I was not equally responsible for being part of making that decision, but at the same time feeling just an overwhelming sadness and guilt, because I really felt that when all went away, a lot of the kind of the boasting and the he-man and all that sort of went away, that you were really tender person. I felt that you had this really tender side to you that I was really attracted to, or really felt comfortable with, you know what I mean? And I think that's always been there. And that's why I think I sought you out.
I'm not mad at you, Lars.
I know you're not.
You know, and I don't want anything from anybody. You know, I still have my dreams. I'm glad that James is getting help. I really am. I wish that James was here.
At this point, both in the film and when it was actually happening, there were serious doubts if Metallica would even be a group again. As a major fan, I recall this being a very uncertain time. As uncertain as it was for fans, it was amplified for Hammett and Erich. In our last clip for part 1, we hear Lars lament on the situation he is in, and the very real possibility that Metallica could be no more. Making it more difficult, as this occurs following seeing former bassist Jason Newsted play a concert with his new band Echo Brain. And then, when Hammett and Erich go backstage to say hello, he had already left, leaving them in the lurch.
Echo Brain! I don't know, I just, all of a sudden, this became like such a big production. I don't understand. It's like all of a sudden, like, you know, I get like one phone call. It's like everybody and their brother on town. I thought it'd be Jason, like, playing with this new band in front of, you know, like 20 drunks down at some bar or something. And now, I guess, to my own ignorance or something, I guess that's what I wanted it to be. So now I'm realizing that supposedly it's a little more of a big deal than that.
Great to meet you. Where's Jack? Yeah, Jason? I don't know. Dude, I think I'm back. He left you. I think you're right. He went back to him.
Really? Nice.
Wow.
Go back to say hey. Elvis has left the building. There's Zach. Hey, Zach. See, he's even blowing me off. Jason blows me off. Zach blows me off.
How quick we become yesterday.
Yeah, no kidding.
See, there's a guy in an Echo Brain t-shirt.
Yeah, that's Steve over there. He works at the studio with us. Well, he is.
Really?
Yeah. I remember that guy.
Huh?
I remember that guy. He worked at the studio.
Which guy?
Over there?
The guy in the red shorts?
No, the guy in the black that's walking across right now.
Really?
Kessel. Todd, he works at the studio too, doesn't he?
Who?
Todd over there?
I'm sure they're all here, Bob. I mean, the only two people in the Bay Area not working for him is me and you. Hetfield's gonna freak.
This whole gig has brought all this on, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
You really want to come
feel
clean.
made me feel like such a loser. I mean, I can't hold my band together. You know, I start records, I don't finish them. Jason is the future, Metallica is the past.
With so much uncertainty, it is painful and heart-wrenching to see such a group responsible for making millions upon millions of dollars and selling millions upon millions of records be on the verge of falling apart. This certainly will not be a spoiler by any stretch, but the band does work things out. However, it is a journey that leaves the audience in awe. When Hetfield returns from rehab, the work really begins, and new issues are unearthed and arise. That is what we will take a look at next week in part 2 of our classic film review of Metallica, Some Kind of Monster. For WMNH and Matt Connarton Unleashed, this has been a classic film review with Erich Pilcher.